What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Couch Podcast. My name's Hussein the Brain, and today I'll be rolling solo, no co host. Our co host, Dynasty Day Trader, had a segment planned out, but as most of you know, some of you don't know, he is a tight end coach for a college team, and he is on the road, so he's not able to make it. He won't be able to make it every now and then, but he does have a Dynasty segment prepared, and we will be doing that next week. Hopefully, this week, just have a short episode for you guys. I have 4 targets to trade for in fantasy football. I'm a value guy. I like getting guys for cheap. I don't trade just to trade. And so these guys, hopefully you can get for cheap. It's going to get harder for each guy we introduce. So the first guy, that's going to be easy mode, and then medium mode, and then hard mode, and then the last one's going to be very difficult to get. That's going to be expert mode for the fourth guy I have to introduce. But other than the 4 guys, I'll be answering any of the questions you got. So go ahead and say what's up in the live chat and drop your fantasy football questions. But let's start it with the guys I want you to trade for. Should we talk about Thursday night football? Yeah, I guess I really have only one thing to really say. The Saints, other than the Saints, aren't really that great. They have a lot of good skill position players. They missed Juwan Johnson at the end there, but Taysom Hill's great. Olave's great. Mike Thomas is great. Kamara is great. Foster Moreau is not great. Derek Carr, not really great, but all the guys catching and running the ball are really good, and that really helps out the team. The defense isn't horrible. But the thing I really wanted to say was I got to remember to stay even keel, because every time Thursday night football is played, I am very sad and or very angry. It brings the worst out of me as far as my takes. Makes me look like a complete idiot, and that's the magic of Thursday night football. So although I am pretty disappointed, pretty frustrated with Calvin Ridley this week, and I put a lot of faith in him, I also put out a tweet that basically said that he was going to go off or at least do something at the end of the game. And he did not. It was horrible. 1 catch, 5 yards, 1 carry, 0 yards. It was a dismal Calvin Ridley game. He disappointed me. Apologies to anyone that I told to draft him and start him. I mean, I still believe in the talent. I still do believe in him, but just plain and simple, other than the first week when he was amazing, he's been very disappointing. And then the Zay Jones injury really brought out Christian Kirk's potential. Christian Kirk is approaching wide receiver 1 numbers. He's creeping up from being a wide receiver 2 to a wide receiver 1 in fantasy football. So congrats to Christian Kirk. So I was wrong on that. But let's go on to the guys you need to trade for in fantasy football. If you have any fantasy questions, drop them right now, because this won't take long and I will answer any questions you have. We talked previously about selling low on Najee Harris. I think this was what was this, 2 episodes ago, something like that, 2-3 weeks ago. That's kind of worked out well. He looked a little bit better for 1 game. I seen a little bit of burst from him, but I mean, regardless, even if he is playing better, this offense sucks. Matt Canada sucks. Jalen Warren exists. You know, all these things are there. This offense scores 1 touchdown a game, 1 offensive touchdown a game. That's just not cutting it. It's not the worst offense in the league, but it's up there. It's maybe slightly better than the Patriots offense. We're talking about like a bottom 3 offense. It's looking pretty bad. But these are the guys I want you guys to trade for this week 7 of fantasy football. So I got Rachaad White here, who has been a disappointment. I get it, but a lot of fantasy owners are pretty sad and pretty like they just want to get rid of him. We did a hack my lineup last week. That I saw somebody drop Rachaad White, and that just kind of shows like how frustrated fantasy managers are. So I think you can get him for free, basically. I mean, he is on waivers in some leagues, even. So when I say for free, yeah, sometimes depending on what league you're on, he's going to cost a little bit more. But I think that you got a realistic shot for getting this guy for next to nothing. So go get Rachaad White if you can get him for free. Jerome Ford. All right. I think you can get him also for free. Maybe a little bit harder to get than Rachaad White. Not really, though, I guess. I mean, depends on what price you're paying. The price will vary. So I think Jerome Ford fantasy managers, because I have him in about 2 leagues. I think that Jerome Ford fantasy managers are a little bit scared of Kareem Hunt. I know I am. That's my emotion. Like, oh man, a little bit worried about Kareem Hunt. But Jerome Ford getting about 50% of the snaps, Kareem Hunt about 38% of the snaps. Which one looks fresher, younger, better? Even though Kareem Hunt looked good and didn't look much worse than Ford, I think Ford looked a little bit better. And I think he has a great matchup. So if you're going to get him only for a very cheap price and get him now before the Browns play the Colts, which is a great matchup. And after that, the price will go up. Remember, I'm not like a typical trade guy. Like, I don't trade just to trade. We're only going after guys that I can get for a super discount. So the first guy is Rachaad White. This guy's Jerome Ford. Now we're getting into more tricky levels here. So Ramondre Stevenson, this one you can only get from a fantasy manager that's very emotional and just fed up, maybe in a 10-team league or something, because Ramondre Stevenson is not really that great. And he did just finally have one good game where, this would have been a lot easier to get a week earlier. But I was looking at the matchups. They're not really that bad. Just kind of like Josh Jacobs. I'm not a big believer in Josh Jacobs, but he has some matchups where it's like, the guy's going to be all right. Some soft matchups, some matchups where the Raiders can actually win games. Those are the matchups where Josh Jacobs could do good. And I'm looking at Ramondre Stevenson's matchup. Like 2/3 of the time, I'm like, okay, Ramondre Stevens, it's going to be hard for him not to do something and get double-digit fantasy points. But then again, I don't love him. Like 1/3 of the matchups aren't good. He is risky, and he is on one of the absolute worst. They could be the worst offense in the league. So I'm not really trying to trade for him. But if there's a stupid emotional owner, fantasy owner that just wants to get rid of him, that's when I swoop him and I get him for cheap. Again, we're at the hard level difficulty now in the video game, right? We start off with easy, medium, now we're at the hard. And the next level is expert mode, because Puka Nacua has been absolute stud. He's been the waiver gem of the year. He's been amazing. And now he finally put up one bad game, 6.6 fantasy points. And I want everybody to, we're just going to have a pretend segment. Just clip this here. Clip this pretend segment. We're going to clip it, hit screen record. We're going to do a fake segment here. And so you can show your buddies before proposing this trade. Look, Cooper Kupp is the guy for the Rams. He is the guy. He's the number 1 guy. He's the number 2 guy. He's the number 3 guy. That whole offense revolves around Cooper Kupp. It's Cooper Kupp week 1, week 2, week 3. Every week it's Cooper Kupp. Every down it's Cooper Kupp. Stafford only throws the Cooper Kupp. It's changed. He's the big dog in town now. And this world, this universe, this team is not big enough for the two of us, buddy. So it's going to be only Cooper Kupp. It's not going to be Puka Nacua. He's out of this equation, right? He's the third wheel or whatever it is. Remember that dating show? He's the third wheel. He's singled out, or whatever that dating show was called, the fifth wheel. I don't know. But he's definitely singled out. He's not in on this. It's a Stafford to Cooper Kupp connection, and that's it. So Puka Nacua, he's not the guy anymore. Okay, that was just propaganda. Okay, now let me talk real here. Especially now that Kyren Williams is injured, like these are the only 2 guys, right? Van Jefferson literally cannot catch any more passes from Stafford. It's impossible. He's on the Falcons now. He got traded away. Tutu Atwell, yeah, his 1 target per game, like that's great. All right, so what happened? Puka Nacua has been amazing. He's been still been pretty dang good, even when Cooper Kupp's been back. But the Rams were up. Puka Nacua almost caught a touchdown. Rams were up the whole game. So the game script wasn't there. And Tutu Atwell didn't do much. The RB1 got traded away to the Vikings. The RB2 is injured. The RB3 is injured. So now we're down to Zach Evans, who was their fourth RB. So it's going to be a lot of Puka Nacua. The number one option is Kupp, but when teams double team him and triple team him, it's going to be Puka Nacua all day. Now, I don't think you'll be able to get him for cheap. I don't think you'll be able to get him, period. Like I said, this is the expert level. This is going to be the toughest trade you'll pull off out of the four options I gave you. But let's go get Puka if you can. Maybe a fantasy manager has a lot of wide receivers. Maybe you see a fantasy manager finally bench Puka this week. That's going to be a good sign if you can actually have any chance of making this trade happen. Go look at the guy who has Puka and see if he benches him. If he benching him this week, when 6 teams are on bye, then that's a great sign that, hey, I can get this guy for cheap. A lot of trade questions I get, people have to mention, they put in there, these guys are on my bench. Like this one guy, I don't know why, was trying to convince me to like agree with him on a trade so I can give him my blessing. And I was like, well, the guy you're going to be getting is going to go on your bench too. So you're trading a bench player for a bench player, right? Because the guy you're getting is not like Tyreek Hill or Bijan even, like is not a must start. It's not Cooper Kupp. So like, if you see a guy that has Puka on their bench, then that shows me a little bit of light. Maybe the light is green. Maybe you can get him for a good price, maybe a discount. I knew I shouldn't have fell for the Ridley preseason hype train. What a bum. Let's not call him a bum. Let's still have faith in him, man. I still believe in Calvin Ridley, and it's okay if you think I sound dumb and whatever you think the case may be, I'm stubborn or it's my ego. And I think, it's not really my ego, or maybe I'm just, I have just too much blind faith and I'm being just too overly positive. That's fine, but I still believe in the talent, man. They just have to feed him the ball and it'll change week to week. So I'm not calling Calvin Ridley a bum or a bust quite yet. But I will take the blame. Like I got it wrong. He's doing, other than week 1, he's been very disappointing. He's been inconsistent. He's not been good. Just doesn't cut it to the standards. He's not really startable. At least he's not putting up startable numbers. So it was bad. It was a big miss. But let's have some positivity because we can't really trade him away right now. Let's have some positivity. Let's hope he bounces back. We still have time, even though time is ticking. It's week 7. We got to get some wins and make playoffs. We still do have some time. When it's week 11, week 12, we probably don't have any time. But there still is a little bit of time. There's still a shot. Okay. I don't think he's a bum quite yet. And let's not go there. Come on. Getter Dunn's in the building. What's up, man? Brad says, well, let's just sum this up and let's just get to the questions here. So again, I just have 4 guys you can get for cheap. The easiest guy to get is Rachaad White, followed by Jerome Ford. That's pretty easy too. A little bit harder is going to be Ramondre Stevenson. I want you to get these guys for free. And expert level, very difficult to get, is going to be Puka Nacua. And hopefully the guy you're getting him from has him on his bench. All right. Brad is asking, would you trade Ken Walker? And by the way, when I do this, it really helps me with trades. Would you trade Ken Walker and Godwin for Mixon and Debo? So Mixon, pretty good running back, not a high upside running back. Debo, pretty good wide receiver, inconsistent wide receiver though, and has a little bit of injury. I always look at players that show up on the injury report or miss games and combine with their age, because that's a big indicator of them getting injured again this season or a performance dip. Yeah, without me being a doctor and not knowing not being privy to all the inside information that's going on in the locker room with each player's injury, that's a really basic way to do it. So like if you have a tie, right? Okay, these two players for these two players and they're equal. I'm just talking in general, not necessarily pertaining to this question. But then you're trading for two players that's been on the injury report and that's missed games. So, like, let's say Aaron Jones, Saquon Barkley, Debo, guys like that. They're always questionable or something, or they're missing games or their game time decisions. And it's like, and the other guys, they're about the same talent, about the same skill, about the same projected fantasy points, maybe roughly drafted around the same, equal. But those guys are younger and healthier, right? Like Bijan Robinson, for instance. That's why I had him ranked so high. Then you got to go with the healthy and younger guys. So let's see. You got Ken Walker and Godwin for Mixon and Debo. I like the Ken Walker side. Ken Walker and Mixon, very similar, but Ken Walker a little bit more upside. He's balling. Then you got Godwin versus Debo. I'd rather get Godwin, all right, the healthier one. Purdy, Aaron Jones, B Rob. Yeah, so I mean, it doesn't really matter who you have. It doesn't matter who you have at all because we don't believe in stacks. You're trading an RB and wide receiver for an RB and wide receiver. So it doesn't matter who you have. It doesn't matter that you have the Niners quarterback. I would not make this trade. I would keep Ken Walker and Godwin. Should I panic on Olave? I wouldn't say panic, but Derek Carr hurts Olave's upside. Yeah, I agree with George. He said don't do it. Aziz, what's up, man? I've got Bijan, Brees, and Gibbs currently top in my league. Congratulations. And next 3 weeks, I probably go 3-0. All right, don't be too cocky. Should I make a move for Kyren Williams? If yes, Gibbs has to be involved in the deal, right? Stay put, man. You're trading for an injured player. Now, there's times to trade for an injured player, and those 2 times would be when you could have got Cooper Kupp 2 weeks ago, and maybe Justin Jefferson if you can get him for dirt cheap. But let's just stay put, right? This is Gibbs' time. Like this is Gibbs right now. It's a high risk guy to get. Lots of upside right now that Montgomery's going to miss a couple games or more, multiple games. I know I said a couple. I don't know how many times he's going to miss. He's going to miss multiple games. It seems like. What's up, Val? He says, play Madison or Zach Evans. Very good question here. I got a feeling that Sean McVay hates Zach Evans, and that's just me. Nobody really agrees with me on that, just so you know. That's just my gut feeling. So Zach Evans or Alexander Madison. Oh, Madison plays the Niners, and I don't really like that. The good thing with Madison is that he should catch a lot of passes. I'm going to go with Madison. Let's go Madison. Traded Jacoby Myers for Olave. You got a boom week for Devontae Smith this week. Yeah, let's go. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think Devontae Smith boom week is due. Haven't seen one since week 2. I traded DeAndre Swift and AJ Brown. This is sounding scary so far. For Eckler and Puka. Oh, okay. So Swift versus Eckler, believe it or not, that's actually really close. Really close. Eckler, I like a little bit more than Swift. And one of the main reasons is Eckler's a good goal line back, where as far as the main goal line back in Philly is always going to be Jalen Hurts. Well, that's what I'm talking about, man. How I had Rachaad White as for free in 10-team leagues. He is on waivers sometimes. I think he's worth an ad. You never really want to see a workhorse running back chilling on waivers. So you get a slight upgrade with Eckler and then maybe a slight downgrade with Puka. I mean, I think this is a good trade. I like it. Now, Eckler's been hurt, but remember, DeAndre Swift's very injury prone, so I'm not really looking at injuries here. I would rather have the Eckler Puka side, but it is close. It's not like a huge dub, but I'd say dub. I'd say win nonetheless because yeah, I'd rather have the Eckler side. Yeah, I'm hoping Gibbs is a starter for 2-3 weeks, and if the line, well, I don't know what we're talking about anymore. Oh, there we go. Rusty Monty, some more. Hopefully, Gibbs has some high value afterwards. Yeah, you're gonna see a boom game or two. Probably won't be this week. I don't think so, but you'll see a boom game from Gibbs. Like, yeah, don't go trading for players that like have these crazy because Kyron Williams could be out 4 weeks past the Rams bye week. Rather have White or my boy Roschon. Long term, Rachaad White. Short term, risky could be Roschon. But Roschon's still in concussion protocol, which is a shocker. Very worrisome. So my short answer is going to be Rachaad White. And if you're looking for a long-term ad, it's easily Rachaad White. Oh, I see Little Spartan is tagging me left and right on Discord and now has cornered me on my own live stream. So I have to answer him now. Let's see. So he's asking a tight end question, which, tight ends are very easy to predict week to week in fantasy football. It's literally the easiest thing to predict. Logan Thomas, who I have no clue how he's ever going to do, or Jonnu Smith. Man, can we bring up Jonnu Smith's numbers? Let me see if I got him up here. He seems pretty dang consistent. Jonnu Smith. Oh my God, he's so consistent. So consistent. Dude, he is so consistent. And Logan Thomas is so not consistent. Man, this guy's like every week's like the same week. It's like Groundhog Day. And then Logan Thomas all over the place. Can we get a PFF? Let's see what PFF thinks. I'm thinking we're gonna go with Jonnu Smith. I think we go Jonnu Smith on this one. It's gonna give me Kyle Pitts, actually, huh? Yeah. Yeah, let's go Jonnu Smith. I do think Logan Thomas actually has more upside, but it's not worth it. Just go Jonnu Smith, get your 5 receptions, and you're good. What do you make of Wan'Dale Robinson? Look at that offense. It doesn't have much upside. He's nothing more than he's probably their number one wide receiver, but he's behind Waller. He's definitely behind Saquon as just the offensive weapon. So it's like you got Waller, Saquon, and we all know this isn't a prolific passing offense. So if can Wan'Dale Robinson ever score like 2 touchdowns in a game? No. So he's just a guy. I mean, he's probably not even as good as Rashee Rice. He's just a dude. If he's on waivers, he's worth an ad. But let's say you add Wan'Dale Robinson in the 12-team league, he should be your worst wide receiver on your team. So he's going to be your wide receiver 6 or wide receiver 5 if you got a shallower league. Definitely. And it's all good. I don't mind. As long as you don't mind that I don't answer like right away every single time, like clockwork. I don't mind either. I mean, I get it. People need to win, and it's all good. You've been in our Discord for years, and I don't think we had any issues with you. You're good. You're good. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for this podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going back on the main channel Friday and every Friday, 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. That's 6:30 p.m. Eastern on the main channel. We will be doing the news. We'll also be doing AMA. So tune in on that live stream that lasts about an hour. And then we head on over to the Discord. Make sure you guys subscribe to both our YouTube channels, Fantasy Couch Podcast, and you can get the podcast audio form of it on all the main platforms like Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and of course, YouTube. All right, guys, good luck this week. Stay above water, get a little bit of lucky, and let's go get a W.